It is tough, right? Raising, I think a lot of founders will say it's the hardest thing you'll probably ever do. And the idea is if you can get through that, then any other business problem you might experience is going to be easy for you.
It's the hardest thing you'll ever do if you have not done the work up to that point in time. Back then, you even admitted you were talking to VCs and investors when you were still looking at a half-baked potato. I guarantee your conversations with investors, if you keep going on the trajectory that you're on right now, Justin, is going to be fundamentally a lot easier than before. They're most likely going to be contacting you because even if you look, I was just looking, I didn't even realize this, but you've got press. Like you've got social proof here. Yahoo Finance, Startup Toronto here, Financial Times, National Post. Like those are legitimate social proof markers that investors look at, analysts, et cetera. I'm sure you're gaining a lot more momentum now in those investor conversations because you have a product that's working.
And actually, that's a good point. Is the next thing we're kind of working on is a big PR strategy. So I'm currently reaching out to a ton of different journalists. Run clubs were huge in the summer up here in Toronto, and I'm trying to pitch an angle of people kind of transitioning from run clubs as their healthy social activity into volleyball as we move into winter and as you have to do something indoors. So yeah, having some kind of PR can go a long way. Your success may vary though, because if you're just not in an area where there's a hot story going around, it will be hard to get reporters to talk about it. And that's actually very similar with raising money is you need to be kind of on topic or on trend if you want it to be easy.
Sure. Right now, AI is sucking all the oxygen out of the room. So that's going to be a window. But that ultimately, that window is going to pass. The bubble's going to burst. But let me give some advice to the founders who are going to be listening to this. We're on the call right now. I've raised 9 figures. I have never raised money on a cold call. Not once. Lord knows I have tried. And the best have come from referrals, just like Justin was talking about. Hey, can you refer me? Do you know these people? Things of that nature, those types of techniques. Investors will find you on 3 dimensions. The first one being if you already got funded, if you got press, you got news. We have a founder right now, and he just won $25,000 for a pitch competition, got on a very popular podcast, and his life went nuts. The inbound inquiries of follow-on investment, just for $25,000, because he got that press with that well-known investor, that opened up doors for him. If you've done a funding round, you put it on Crunchbase, and you say, great, we did this, people are going to find out, and they're going to contact you and say, hey, can we follow on with this? If you get in a database, when I interviewed down at Y Combinator and then Techstars, I don't know what happened, but you go out in this database and they must have put a note in there. And all these people started contacting me saying, hey, saw you in this database and saw that you went, interviewed down at Y Combinator, saw that your startup was promising. How's it going? They were following up with me like years after, even Techstars and Y Combinator. So if you're in that database and you've already got success in terms of raising capital or you've got that press, that's going to work well for you. The second way is industry publications and news. If you can get into an industry publication, look at Javelin Sports, it's taking the world by storm. Like this is the app that nobody ever thought of. Have you thought playing volleyball? That's where investors send their associates, their scouts to analyze that, and they will contact you. They'll say, we saw your article in this, we saw that this national magazine or this conference or this trade publication is talking about you. Do you need investment? That's the second way. And the third way, the best way is, and it's the third best way, is word of mouth referrals or warm referrals. And that's the reason you got to be working your network and you have to constantly be developing those relationships. If you're a founder out there and you don't know how to develop relationships, you don't know how to stay in touch and keep investors posted or ask, who else do you think I should talk to? You're not going to build your network. It's going to be very difficult because investors want to see you continue to raise. They want to know that you can network and present to future employees and talk to other investors. They want to see that you're the type of founder that can talk and present. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about you, Justin. We've had conversations, back and forth, is how articulate you are, how thoughtful you are. You tell me things that give me novel insights. You say, it's a rally sport. And I'm thinking, rally type thing. And then you explain to me, I go, oh, that makes so much sense. You give me information like, this is a lifelong co-ed sport. Never thought about that. And that's the type of impression that you give. And what founders have to do is give off that same executive presence to show that you've got that swagger, that intelligence, that you can figure out your market.